After the race at Kansas this last Sunday, Tyler Reddick locked himself into the round of 12. He joins Kyle Larson as the only two people guaranteed spots for the round of 12. With one last race at Bristol, this makes it one last opportunity for any driver to win and lock themselves in or move themselves above the 12th place cutoff line. Hey, this is me in post. If you look at this graphic, this is something that they posted on their Twitter, or X. I'm going to keep calling it Twitter. What the hell? How are you supposed to read this thing? It took me a minute to decipher it, and it was like I had to use Rosetta Stone to get it to understand it. But it tiers where they were across the playoffs. It's hard to interpret. I was reading some of the comments on this. And this is the only graphic they posted on their X Twitter, whatever, Musk machine, of what the standings are. So, yeah. Have fun with this one. Now, of the 4 drivers below the current 12th place cutoff line is number 1 seed and regular season champion Martin Truex Jr. Truex has had 2 awful races. He finished 18th at the Southern 500 and then went on to finish dead last at Kansas. Now, it's not abnormal for the regular season champion to have somewhat of a slumpish start to the chase. Kyle Busch didn't win a single race through the entire playoffs until he won the championship in 2019. Matter of fact, his last win came at Pocono in June before that. Kyle wasn't really ever at risk of being eliminated. Truex, however, sits 7 points below the cutoff line as we speak right now, which is honestly not a very easy position to move out of going into the Bristol night race. Anything can happen at the Bull Ring. And the fact that it's one of Martin's lesser racetracks makes this even more daunting of a challenge. So why would this be a controversy though? In the last 6 years, under this format, the regular season champion has made it to the round of 4 every single time except once. And that was in 2020, when Kevin Harvick got eliminated in the round of 8. For those that remember that happened during that season, that was a very hot topic as to what was wrong with the championship format. It was a very, very big deal. It was also multiplied by the fact that Harvick was leading the Texas race when rain was coming down and was the first one to hit the wet racetrack, causing him to wreck and putting him back to 13th, taking his ability away for him to recover and make the round of 4. And we won't even talk about how at Kansas, the 550 package that NASCAR had brought out to try and make the racing more competitive made it so Harvick could barely even stay behind the 22 of Joey Logano. With that being said, Harvick at least made it to the round of 8 and was one spun Kyle Busch away from making the championship. This would be catastrophic in the fan base, I'd have to imagine. The fact that Truex would get eliminated in the round of 16 after winning the regular season championship and not having a chance to fight for the next 7 races for it, I don't even want to know what people would think of that. Now, I understand the argument. Truex has had a bad 3 races, and I don't deny that. It's been very, very poor. But Truex also blew a tire at Kansas at a track that has been known for the last 2 years to have right rear tire failure issues. And it's not just among Toyotas or Chevrolets, it's among everybody. And I understand the game of trying to take the air out to make sure the car is lower to make the diffuser work better. But the fact of the matter is, that is still an issue among the sport. And if you want to discredit that as not being on NASCAR, what is on NASCAR is the fact that they didn't even let the 19 team repair the car. They towed it behind the wall and forced him to DNF finishing last. Regardless of how much speed he had after this incident, if he was able to just run to the finish 4 to 5 laps down, he could have gained 3 to 5 points overall. That would have took him from being 7 below to 1 or 2. And as we've seen before, that much of a difference is huge in this season. Now, while I say this is a massive controversy, I also acknowledge the fact that Truex could just run 3rd the entire race and easily put himself in, and this will never be an issue. And I will also acknowledge the fact that Truex, coming into the playoffs, had the smallest margin of advantage any regular season champion has had over the 12th seed. Every other regular season champion had at least 40 bonus points coming into this playoffs. Truex had 36. But regardless of that, this is still a pretty big deal. The fact that you tout the regular season championship to be very important, and then it doesn't carry you anywhere in the playoffs. Personally, I think the advantage of it doesn't carry as much as what it should. Now, there is some ways you could try and maybe fix this problem. I am not somebody that believes that we need to go back to the old 2003 to 1975 format. While I think that's a decent format, I also acknowledge that there is a lot of errors in how that works. There's not enough points given out to the winner every weekend. I think the balance of it may be a little bit skewed. It could be a little bit more confusing than what people think, generally speaking. I think there's a better way to go about it than just that. There is a lot of fine-tuning that can be done with this format we have right now. There is a lot that can be done. For this exact problem, I think this could be easily fixed by giving the regular season champion maybe a first round bye, maybe, in terms of that they automatically get locked into the second round. While you may argue that may give them less reason to race, I think it'll give drivers more reason to race in the regular season. I mean, how often do we see teams give up about race 16 of the season and just try and collect either playoff points or test things instead of actually trying to win races or run competitively or consistently? If you give them more incentive to win the regular season championship, it'll make people want to run more consistently, compete more, not lose as many points. I know during the Harvick situation in 2020, they argued to give him a pass all the way to the round of 4, which I personally don't think we should do, because 9 races still could have a lot of things happen during that time, and you could very well go from being the best driver in the season to maybe the 5th best driver in the season. So I think either a 1 or possibly 2 round bye would be good for the regular season champion. Regardless, I hope, for NASCAR's sake and for the sport's sake, that Truex advances and we don't have this issue appear. If you want to leave your own thoughts, go ahead and leave them in the comments. If you want to tell me I'm a moron, that's fine too. I'm perfectly normal to that. And other than that, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you people in the future. Take care.